The teams at the top earn their spot. Oregon earns their spot. They had the best regular season of anybody in college football. They're number one in the country and should be. They're 13-0. They beat Ohio State at home. They did it. They did it all. They're the number one team in the country. And yet, you're trying to manipulate the seeding and pull the levers of power here in order to try to put an artificial floor under the conference championship game participants. In order to do that and get SMU in, you have to value Texas and Penn State. Well, once you do that, you've got to somehow keep them above Ohio State and maybe even Notre Dame and maybe even Tennessee. And so at that point, what do you have to do? Value it over everything. Nope, they played in that game. They're not moving down. That's artificial. Once that happens, the better resumes and teams get shoved down in the bracket. When they get shoved down, who bears the brunt of that? Oregon, who earned their spot at the top. So now it's not a true meritocracy. Now it's not a true playoff. It's not a true bracket. You set out to do something like value the conference championship game, and in doing so, you devalued the conference championship game. That's the unintended consequence. The cost of the artificial manipulation of seeds will be borne by Oregon, the exact team that should have earned every right to have the easiest path to a national championship. That's what we do in every other sport, because it's a true meritocracy in those sports, and we don't artificially pull the levers of power to bump teams up based on sentiment. We let it be. We let it be. Oregon is the number one team in the country, but because they artificially shoved the better resumes down, the 8-9 game is going to be Ohio State and Tennessee, which means that the one seed Oregon has to play the winner of Ohio State and Tennessee. Ohio State has as good a resume as anybody in the country outside of Oregon. In a true resume determination, they're probably the third-ranked team in the country. I would say they're certainly better than Texas, unless you artificially value the SEC championship game over everything, and then Texas is ahead of Ohio State. So now it's not even that Ohio State has a tough path. No. They lost to Michigan. They kind of made their bed, and this is where they have to be. So now they're going to have to host Tennessee. Okay, good for them. That's their first round game. The cost of all of this manipulation gets put on the shoulders of Oregon, because now Oregon, in order to go win the national championship, is going to have to play the winner of Ohio State, Tennessee. Let's just say it's the favorite, the home team, Ohio State Buckeyes. They would have to play Ohio State, and let's just say the favorite wins in the other matchups, and Texas gets that through there, and they play them in the semis. And let's just say the favorite win on the other side of the bracket. That means Oregon's path to the national championship. The reward for going 13-0 and having the best regular season in all of college football, which is supposed to be the most valuable regular season in all of sports, the reward for that is having to play the three highest odds team to win the national championship. They're going to have to go through possibly Ohio State, Texas, and Georgia to win the national championship. Congratulations, Dan Lanning and the Oregon Ducks. You got absolutely screwed by the playoff committee because their sentiment of trying to create artificial floors rose some of these teams to the levels where they shouldn't be. That's the problem. So you can tell me that the logic of rewarding conference championship games is right, and the theory is correct. And you know what? I think that you believe that. But in actuality, what happens is that in the dead set objective, in the valuing of conference championship games above everything, which has happened both in the creation of this playoff and now in the rankings of these seeds, in the effort to value the conference championship game over everything, you devalued it, because Oregon's path is actually harder than Penn State. And Penn State is sitting there, and it's not their fault. This is not me ragging on Penn State. Penn State made their bed, and they're going to have to be in it. But playing SMU and then potentially, Boise State? Their path to the college football semifinal is far easier than Oregon's. And Oregon just beat them. But you were supposed to value conference championship games. And in the effort to value them, you devalued them. That's the problem. Oregon's got the toughest route of anybody that got buys. It's tougher than Georgia's. It's tougher than Arizona State's. It's tougher than Boise State's. And to me, like that idea just escaped everybody. The team with the biggest gripe, which they won't gripe because this is not what Dan Lanning does. He just says, like, fine, send me wherever and we'll play whomever. And that's why I love Dan Lanning. I really do. Because he doesn't sit there and whine about things like seeds, and he doesn't get on Twitter and whine and cry about what this committee is doing and what the commissioner did to me. And he certainly doesn't do that on the podium. But I will just tell you, Oregon got hosed in this. And they got hosed by the committee, and the committee was doing this artificially. I mean, it's pretty clear. It's pretty clear. The seeding was wrong. So, flawed format, born out of this idea that you have to retain value of the conference championship game. The committee then clearly overvalues conference championship games when they shouldn't. And in the objective of protecting that game above everything, they devalued it by creating the hardest possible path for Oregon. Well done, everybody. Slow clap for college football. You never get this right. You never get this right because you let the same people do this over and over and over and over again. And then you try to placate all the self-interest, and all the bowl people have got to have a seat at the table, and all the conferences have got a seat at the table. And guess what? That doesn't work. Thank you for watching the Joel Klatt Show YouTube channel. And if you liked this clip, make sure to like it and subscribe to the channel, and you can stay up to date on all of my college football coverage.